Welcome in. Welcome in. Good evening. This is the Real Spiel Live show here with Roman Kelly, Trevor Kelsey, and Will Wigginton coming to you live on the Real Spiel podcast, streaming on Twitch, streaming on YouTube, and now streaming on my personal X account. Shout out to Rashawn letting us use his for the time being, but we've made the change over to the personal one now. Fellas, so glad to have you in. Good evening. Are you guys ready to talk some sports?
No, I want to talk about the dog barking. Whose dog was that?
This is the girlfriend's dog. It's my dog.
Now I completely don't care about anything we were going to talk about now. I just want to know about the dog. Like, where's this dog at?
His name's Apollo. He's massive. I'm sure he'll come make his way. I'm sure he'll come make his way into the stream at some point here in the night. Sleeps right behind me, so just a matter of time before he comes over here for a pet or two.
Can I assume the girlfriend is either a fan of Greek mythology or the movie Rocky?
Definitely a Greek mythology fan.
Okay.
Hey, me too.
Me as well.
I was more hoping for Rocky, but
I didn't know you were a ball knower like that, Ron.
Oh yeah, I'm a very, very, very big Greek mythology fan, actually.
Okay, we might have to talk a little shop sometime.
Yeah, we will definitely. I think there's some stories out there that are useful in everyday life. So
now are we talking like we're going to go deep into this, or are we going to just talk about like the abundance of like early 2000s Greek mythology movies that were shoved down our throat? Because if we're doing that, I can't talk about Troy with Brad Pitt for 1 second. That movie sucked ass.
Hey, that wasn't trash.
but are we talking like like Clash of Titans? Or are we talking
I think
deep are we going?
From my generation is the Percy Jackson books, right?
Yeah, and then the series that followed suit as well.
Yeah, that was the foundation, and then you had Greek mythology classes.
There's a couple movies. What was the movie? Troy? It was just called Troy, I believe.
Yeah, no, that was Trevor said he hates it. I actually thought it was pretty decent, honestly.
I did not. I could not. I had to walk. It's one of 3 movies I've ever walked out on. By the way, true story. I could not take one more close-up zoom of Brad Pitt's bare ass or him looking like the poor engine from the recycling commercial in the 70s with a tear down his eye. I was like, I'm done. I'm out. That was that. The other 2, by the way, Blair Witch Project 2 I walked out on, and Save the Last Dance.
They're making an Odyssey film that I'm excited for. I think Hercules had a good movie. There's been an Achilles movie.
Too, so that's a baked-in classic already.
for sure.
Now, have you seen the original Clash of the Titans?
No.
I don't think so.
I have not. I have not seen it actually.
What year?
82, I think. Late 70s, early 80s.
And then there was a new series. There were 2 movies in the 2000s, right?
Yeah,
Yes, they redid it. They've redone it multiple times, I believe. The original ones, it's cheesy for its era, but hey, it was one of those movies we got to watch in school, so it gets a nostalgic thumbs up, at least in that matter. But maybe that's why I also love One That Flew the Cuckoo's Nest, because not only did I get to watch it in psych class, that movie's just fucking awesome. There's a reason why it's one of only 3 to win the Big 5.
Trevor, speaking of movies, first comment in the show is, what's Trevor's review of Happy Gilmore 2? We gave that. Trevor's already given it out. Trevor, just give a quick summed up Trevor Kelsey review of the movie.
Oh no, hold on. It's gonna take a second. Will, you go get your water. All right, Happy Gilmore 2. It is basically your paint by numbers, total shit, grab for cash, desperate straw of hope of nostalgia at getting a sequel. That's all it was. It was 30 minutes of flashbacks to the original, which were, for the record, probably top 3 best parts of the movie. The rest of it was rehashing the joke. We had a clip of the original joke. Most kids now weren't alive for the original, apparently, so you have to tell them why they're laughing. Why don't we put a laugh track on it? But why don't we? Second, it just, I don't know. It wasn't that great. I like Scotty Scheffler from the Louisville aspect. I thought that was funny. Plus him not wanting to leave because he was wondering what was for dinner for a personal reason. I thought that was funny. I'll tell you that story off the air. I thought John Daly was good, but he just got old by the end of the movie, which pretty much sums up everything Adam Sandler's done in his career. It just gets old very quickly.
There it is.
I didn't like it.
Review.
Firing away.
Like
out of 10, it gets a 4.
4 out of 10.
I give it a solid 7. What about you?
I'll go 8.
I thought, okay, you know what? I forgot to mention this. I was having the same thought, and Trevor is going to blow a gasket. But Roman, I agreed with you. Happy Gilmore, one, incredible movie, like a timeless classic with a solid storyline, all things considered. Obviously, it's not supposed to be a good storyline, but like the narrative fits, the comedy.
For trying to be a movie that's off the wall.
Exactly. Yeah. It was great for what it was. Happy Gilmore 2, like you said, I laughed more at Happy Gilmore 2 than Happy Gilmore 1. And I grew up watching Happy Gilmore. So you're
I watched them back to back, Trevor, with the first one being the first one.
I'm somebody who watched Happy Gilmore for the first time when I was like 9 years old. And I thought it was absolutely hilarious. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. That doesn't mean I'm anywhere close to saying Happy Gilmore 2 is a better movie.
I have no problem if you find humor in repeat sequels. It's pretty much any comedy sequel you're going to get, and especially ones that are this long reviewed from its original. It is what it is. I mean, but the original was no. I love the original so much. I still love it, and that was a movie of Bill Jade. I caught my ex-girlfriend Christina cheating on me.
Oh.
Okay, and I freshman year. First of all, didn't break up with her. Why? Because,
man, Trevor.
No, dude, whatever. She's the first girl since my mom to touch my dingling. I'm not gonna break up with her just because she's tonguing some other dude. I want to keep doing it. I was 16. What do you expect?
Don't take that as advice. If you're anybody who's young watching this, don't take that as advice.
Please. Don't do that.
Whatever. The beggars can't be choosers, okay, people. Point is that how much I love that movie. And again, if you like the sequel, that's fine. Maybe you probably like the Longest Yard version of his better than the original too. But it was just the same movie. I mean, for that, I'm not going to go over the moon over it and say it's this great film and it's hilarious and it's this and that and it should get a high rating, because the bar is set so low that we're so desperate for comedies in the last 15 years that this is what we're doing. I mean, no.
The last thing I'll say about it, and it's to give it the benefit of the doubt, I feel like in terms of the storyline and how the movie was, they actually did enough to make it different than the original Happy Gilmore, because at the end of the day, How can you really make it that much different?
They followed the original by point. Every character in the original had their son in it, which was an overkill. You didn't need George Mirasan or whatever his name is playing the dude with the that was stupid. Chubbs' son, oh my God, just put a bullet in my head on that whole scene. I mean, that was pointless as all get out. I mean, you didn't need to call back to everybody. The call back to Ben Stiller, that's fine. I wouldn't even have done that either. And let's not even just look past the utter. I mean, Adam Sandler taking nepotism of his friends in movies to now his family to a whole new level. And Jesus, I mean, how many films does Netflix have to give him before his daughters learn how to act?
I feel like adding that many new current golfers, getting them to do real scenes of a movie like that there was so many more moments where I got a giggle, right? I'm not saying I belted out laughing at any point of either of them. Obviously, I'm too old to have been watching Happy Gilmore, the first one, for the first time. I really could have wished I would have watched that when I was a young kid. But I think for someone like who's just earned, like, you got to look at it from the perspective of, if you don't know golf at all, you still were able to stay into that second movie, and you still got some laughs out of it. And if you know golf well, you got specific laughs because of situations that they pinpointed that you're only going to know if you know golf. So I think for that aspect, obviously the storyline was not nearly as good as the first one, but there was just more humorous moments because of that. As somebody for me who's in the in-between, who gets to see both, I thought it was cool. So I think the storyline was awful, which is tough. How do you even make a good storyline with a sequel like that?
Okay, I was three little points, and I will shut up forever. And Roddy Richards, you should probably have a drink for just starting this conversation and getting this going for us. But three last points. One, God damn weed, I forgot what I was going to say. Okay. Burnout moment.
Shout out to Roddy Richards, always listening on the Twitch stream.
Okay, yeah,
that's super cool.
Yeah. One, the first one is goofy. And I don't want to say it's realistic, but it's just like, other than like the final shot, like when he hits it off the pipes and everything, it's other than him hitting 400-yard drive
and the putting practice scene.
And I mean, he's learning how to putt through putt, but it's not over the top goofy. This one, they took it and they made it over the top goofy with the whole Max thing and all that yada yada, hitting it, and doing these different shit, and it looked like it was that game show with John Cena where people were jumping through and get hit with balls and falling in the river and shit. It made it look like it was that. That annoyed me too. At the end, where all the Max people are pissed they lost. Why? You obviously, the little pudgy kid that's related to the hot girl Emily Osmond, the one that used to see dead people. You just won the gold jacket. All those motherfuckers can go and just make millions of dollars in real golf now. Who cares if Max closed? And three, I don't know. That's what it was. It was typical Adam Sandler going over the top and too far with shit.
That's what he does. Will, Trevor, we got a few more things we want to discuss. Obviously,
I like the money bit.
We'll save the one of the topics that is kind of a carryover topic from the last pod. We've had some consistency, fellas. Shout out to us now. What is this, week 3 in a row here of
I believe so,
getting one out on Saturday or Sunday or Monday. So that's kind of going to be our thing going forward. Just Sunday or Monday every week. We're going to try to get one out if we can. Obviously, with Sunday Night Football, it's going to make it tough. Probably going to end up being a Monday thing, and we'll sacrifice Monday Night Football, which we also don't want to do, so it'll probably end up being a Tuesday thing, but we'll figure it out.
To be fair, the game would be over by now anyway.
True.
Not necessarily. With ESPN starting late.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know. Fellas,
why must they kill everything I love?
Let's talk a couple things. Yeah, right. It's like they're killing it slowly too, is what sucks. But let's talk AP poll. Let's talk Louisville football real fast. Obviously, the preseason AP poll was released today. Texas, #1 for the first time in school history. Will, give me your initial thoughts on the AP poll. We can obviously go through the numbers here and discuss what we think across of it. But any highlighting, if you had to have a key takeaway on what you saw from the AP poll today, what would it be?
It's unrelated to U of L?
Yeah, unrelated. Just in the top 25.
Yeah. I'm surprised that Tennessee is in the top 25. I'm surprised that Indiana's in the top 25, that Auburn is ranked as low as they are. I believe they came in on the others receiving votes at 37th. And that's not me saying I think Auburn's going to be good. It's just I know they're very talented and they've had a lot of offseason hype. So I'm very surprised that they aren't even close to being ranked. I think the top 5 makes complete sense. Penn State, this is probably the best team they've ever had under James Franklin, and that goes for both sides of the ball. But my Achilles heel, in their opinion, is Drew Aller. I think he's a garbage can at quarterback, but for some reason, everybody thinks he's the next Josh Allen. Arizona State's in good shape. South Carolina's a little bit overrated, as is Michigan and Florida. So that 13 through 15 line might be a bit overrated. And there's always one team that's in the top 10 every season that ends up being overrated and unranked by the end of the year. I'm going to say that's probably going to be LSU. I think that top 10 is actually really strong top to bottom. So that might not happen this year, but if I had, gun to my head to pick one team, it'd probably be LSU.
I'm surprised. You should know. You should never be surprised if an SEC team is getting ranked in the top 25 this season. I'm more surprised that it's not like 13 SEC teams and the rest top 25. But it's the preseason; they get love, so you should never be shocked at that, no matter where Tennessee's ranked. I don't have the top 10 in front of me, but I love his LSU pick right there. The team that probably, if not LSU, probably another SEC school because of the gauntlet they have to go through.
Miami's 10th as well, too. So they could be overrated.
Yeah, and who did they replace Cam Ward with?
Carson Beck from Georgia.
Yeah. Wow. We'll just
Sid the Sloth himself. Yep.
I tell you what, you want my opinion on that? Just rewind and listen to me talk about Happy Gilmore 2 for a second. That's about the same. I think about the same thing. When it comes to the Arizona State, I think it's surprising you mentioned being a good because I know they lost a lot, at least in terms of the running back. That's a lot. I do know that Louisville has 3 teams ranked in there and their opponents, even though Louisville's not ranked. I like that because it obviously helps Louisville, and I know that Louisville can beat any of those 3 teams. Second, Louisville not being ranked means absolutely nothing to me. I think that me and Will were laughing about this earlier before I think you jumped in, but it just feels like we're like talking about something that mattered 20 years ago, really, and when it did matter to be preseason ranked. Now with the playoff, God love it, and expanded, whether expanded or not, the top 25 it's fun, it's cute, it's nice something to brag about for giving us the next couple weeks before the season actually starts. 19 days away, I believe, from game 1 against EKU. Sucks to be them. But outside of that, I don't think there's anything really to brag about. Now, that said, I'm glad we're not ranked because I think we are a top 25 team and broaden my trust regardless. And if this is anyway going to give us any kind of nice little fuel to start the season, I'll take it. I'll take that in a heartbeat. I'd rather be unranked than ranked anywhere inside the top 12 or 13, really, because I'll take the field because I know we're going to win. I know we're going to handle our business, and I know we're going to move into that ranking. And when it's all said and done, the cream rises to the top, as Macho Man once said, we'll be there. You'll see the cream of a hot red football team.
I agree.
Tell him, Apollo. Apollo said, yeah.
What did you guys think of Indiana, though? I think Indiana, that personally.
Steal a line from Apollo, I think they threw him a bone by giving him ranked 20th.
Very high bone there.
They had a good portal class again. They got Fernando Mendoza from Cal, if you guys know who he is. He was a pretty good quarterback for Cal last year. Transferred to IU. I mean, they have talent, but they are ranked 20th based off of reputation. But Indiana's a good example of what Trevor is saying and why at the end of the day I agree with him. Obviously, I want to be ranked. I think we're a deserving top 25 team, but we're ranked 29th going into week 1. Who gives a shit, honestly? Our first 3 opponents are kind of, they are what they are. James Madison is ranked is in the others receiving votes. Some other teams that are of note in that, I would say Georgia Tech, just because they're in the ACC, Toledo, because they play Kentucky week 1. Like I said, James Madison, Florida State, Duke, Pittsburgh, So there are teams in the ACC that are at least getting some respect. Um, especially, I'm surprised Georgia Tech isn't ranked as well. But Indiana, yeah, I think they're just ranked explicitly based off of last season and because Kurt Signetti does win. And I believe IU is a beneficiary of having another easy schedule. I could be wrong on that, though. So they may stick.
Well, they'll still have to play Ohio State, I'm sure. That's by God, maybe they don't.
No, I think they avoid them.
You're right.
So
I guess with like 30 teams each division, they maybe don't. Forget.
Their toughest games, they play Illinois at home, Oregon on the road, and Penn State on the road. So obviously no gimmies, but they miss Michigan, they miss Ohio State, Washington, USC. They don't play any of them.
Yeah, but you lose 2 of those games and you're out of it.
Oh yeah, I mean they'll probably go 9-3, 8-4. But
that's a game Penn State doesn't
that's
lose.
worthy of being a top 25 team. So
that's another thing you said that struck me is like, I don't know, maybe it's just it's like the old joke in basketball where when I was growing up, it was, oh, Coach K can't win the big one, and he wins the title, and it's no one ever talks about it again. What's his name? Couldn't UConn can't win. UConn can't win the big one.
Jim Calhoun.
Yeah, Jim Calhoun can't get past the lady. Can't get past. Roy Williams can't win the big one. And then of course they do it and they move on. And then some don't ever, but the majority of them eventually do. Sorry, Don Chaney, we never even got to the Final Four. But that's kind of where James Franklin is with the football side, though. It's just like, I mean, and you say this, and now you're going to tell me this is by far maybe the best team he's had. I think I've heard that probably he's been there now, and maybe how long has he been there? He's been there
since 2015, I think. 2015.
Okay, so this will be about 10 years.
I believe.
I like James Franklin. I do. I mean, James Franklin was, almost a victim to that stupid trend of coaching waiting that we had in the late 2000s, 2010 area, where a bunch of schools were trying to do it. Maryland tried it, and he's like, yeah, you know what? Fuck off. I'm going to Vanderbilt. But yeah, he just can't. He's going to lose one. I mean, he's Cooper. He's John Cooper of Ohio State. He's just, you know what? He's just but I say that, and Cooper eventually did make the Rose Bowl in '97. But
I don't know. I mean, this is not his.
But making the Rose Bowl isn't what Penn State wants. They want national title. They're fine with getting a Rose Bowl now. That's quenched their thirst. They've had the blood. Now they want to kill the people too. They're the vampire that's gone all the way.
This is his most talented team. I mean, he's got the best running back duo in the country. I love Isaac Brown and Duke Watson. They're probably, in my opinion, the second best. But Katron Allen and Nick Singleton are absolute freaks. Their defense is great. They finally have really good receiving talent. I mean, they haven't had any good receivers since Chris Godwin played at Penn State, and that was back when they did make the Rose Bowl in 2016, and they beat Ohio State that year. So,
you're not gonna don't sell me on Penn State having talent. I know they're going to be loaded.
No. I'm just saying it's different talent than they've had in recent years. They have the dudes that are better than the like of their contemporaries, like it's Ohio State, whether it's Michigan, in the Big Ten, Oregon. They have a better team than all of them. That's never been the case under James Franklin at all. If you stack their rosters up, pound for pound, they're just better. And you've never been able to say that. You can say they're on a level of them, but no, Penn State, they're in prime position, I think, to make some noise. Even Ohio State at third is overrated. We don't even know who the hell they're going to have a quarterback starting in week 1. So they're just based off because they won the national championship last year.
Yeah, and they won it with Will Howard at quarterback, so obviously quarterback's a moot point.
Yeah, well, but still, I mean, Will Howard played well for them in the playoff. He really decided to get it to the guys, but he did that efficiently. So,
Trevor,
I'm not going to question. What one thing I want to say. I'm not going to question this stat, but it did shock me a little bit. Texas is the first time they've ever been ranked preseason number 1.
Yep.
School history. Wow. That baffles me. I mean, I think back, your Earl Campbell days in the 70s, Fred Akers run through the 70s and 80s, and I mean, I could have swore that surprised me.
4 teams last year that made the college football playoff weren't in the preseason AP top 25 poll, right? So if we had to choose, let's go 3. I want you guys to choose 3 teams that if you had to guess, I guess 3 teams that are currently in this top 25 that you think will drop out of it, and 3 teams that you think will end the season up in this top 25 that currently aren't. Trevor, if you want to go first, if you've got them, or Will, if you think you're ready.
I'll
first,
go.
too, if you-
I'll go first. Just in curiosity, are we only naming 3 because Louisville's counts as 1?
Kind of.
Okay.
Louisville. I feel like both of us, all three. I mean, do either of you going to have Louisville not in the top 25 at the end of the year?
No, I'd pick Louisville's 1. So if that's the de facto not allowed to use, then
Yeah,
then,
try to get
I
3
can,
more then.
I can name 3 more. I haven't done my homework too well yet, and that's mainly because I haven't been able to get the new college football game just yet. So the transfer portal can throw me for a loop, but I will do my best at this. Just from looking at the list, don't take that graphic off the screen. God help me, don't take that graphic off the screen. I'm going to say sneaking in 1. I thought this was going to be a sneakier team last year, and I was really wrong. I'm hoping that your boy did not transfer away. I'll say Nebraska, hoping their schedule is very lenient to them. Fun fact: when Nebraska has a sellout, they're officially the 3rd largest city in the state. That tells you anything about the state of Nebraska. Number 2, I'm going to say, because I can't remember what conference they're in half the time anymore. I'll say BYU.
I will flag something for you, Trevor. Though their quarterback.
Okay. What did the Mormon do? Did he have sex with somebody?
Yes, he got kicked out the team for premarital sex, and he was their starting quarterback. I don't even know why the hell they're 26 because that was their guy. He's not on the team, so I'm just letting you know that might want to.
Did he go to Utah? Is that where he?
No, his name's Jake Retzloff. I actually don't even know where he transferred. Hang on.
He got caught up.
Well, we're dropping BYU.
He transferred to Tulane, which is in.
Oh yeah, that sounds like
yeah.
There's a world. There's a bizarro.
Oh yeah.
Before I name my second team,
Red Bull.
I will say this: is anybody still curious how Jim McMahon lasted 4 years at BYU? I mean, good God! I mean, so number 2, I will say. I'll go with you know what? This is for my grandfather on my aunt's side. I'm going to go to Baylor. I'll say Baylor surprises somebody, mainly because the Big 12 clearly last year came up for grabs. Maybe this year will be the same. And number 3, God help me. Do they have to be? Can they be ranked? They can't be ranked top 25. What's the damn team named under that graphic? Fuck it. Let's go with this is for you, Grandma. I'm saying Navy.
You think Navy will be top 25 at the end of the year?
No, but I've smoked enough to think it right now.
Okay, Will, what do you think?
Will,
I want you to start with the 3 teams in the top 25 that you think will drop.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do. So,
damn, we got the easier one.
I do think Florida actually they're getting. Wait, were you about to say something?
No, go ahead.
Florida's getting a ton of hype because of DJ Lagway, which I understand. He's insanely good, and they did perform better in the tail end of last season.
And they got better in the transfer portal.
I mean, here, let's look at their schedule real quick, yeah? Billy Napier, though, in my opinion, I just don't think he's the guy. And they also have a murderer's row schedule. They play at LSU, at Miami, Texas at home, at Texas A&M, Georgia on a neutral, because that's how it is every year, at Ole Miss, Tennessee at home, and Florida State at home. That's a tough schedule. That's a really tough schedule, even if DJ Lagway lives up to the hype. So my first team will be Florida. I kind of want to say Michigan, but they're going to have a top 3 defense in the country with Wink Martindale, Sharon Moore in year 2 with Bryce Underwood. Now he actually has a quarterback that can throw the ball downfield further than 5 yards. So I think they'll be a lot better off. I know they have a new offensive coordinator too. So Michigan's sticking, even though they're probably a hot pick to be taken out. So I'll go Florida first. I'll say Oklahoma second. That is because Brent Venables, I don't think, can coach as a head coach at least. He's a top 3 defensive coordinator in the country. But they also have a very tough schedule. They play Michigan at home. They play Texas on a neutral, at South Carolina, Ole Miss at home, at Tennessee, at Bama, LSU at home, Missouri at home. There's no way in hell they're winning more than 7 games, in my opinion. So if you guys want to make any bets for over-under on wins, bet the under on Oklahoma. You can take that back to your bookie, bet on it, bet the fucking house. Other teams, Tennessee has a weak schedule, so I think they will stick. Texas Tech is straight NIL money. That's the only reason they're ranked. The other one, though, I'm actually going to say Iowa State. That one seems a little sneaky, but Matt Campbell, they had a great year last year. They went 10-2 and then got housed in the Big 12 championship by Arizona State. Matt Campbell before last year has really been down in the dumps, so much so that people were talking about him being fired from Iowa State. So, yeah, I mean, they have Rocco. I can't remember his last name, but their quarterback is back. But I think they're gonna have a tougher schedule this year than they did last year. They actually had a soft ass schedule, and the Big 12 is super deep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll say Florida, Oklahoma, and Texas or Iowa State.
Quick question, guys. Is there a state?
Oh, and somebody just put in the chat, Oklahoma quarterbacks John Mateer is under investigation for sports gambling, and John Mateer is actually really, really good. That's probably the reason why they're ranked 18th, because he was the best transfer portal quarterback, in my opinion, out of Washington State. And if he gets suspended for betting, they're cooked, beyond cooked. So, sorry.
No,
Interesting.
No, I know. I actually remember him at Washington State. They ran that Cam Ward offense too. No, is there a state? You mentioned Matt Campbell at Iowa State. Like, is there a state that like accepts like lifelong mediocrity more than the state of Iowa with their football programs between him and Kurt Prince? Like, they just love 8-4, and they've been doing it for 20 years. It feels like each. And
are you talking about a state that actually enjoys football, not some like
just any state? I don't even think Delaware would put up with this shit for that long. I mean,
man.
Granted, that they're Division II, maybe. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I guess Florida. They got Billy Napier. They still have Mike Norvell at Florida State, and they just went 2-10. And he's had, I think, 2 at minimum, 2 losing seasons. Billy Napier has never had a winning season besides last year. So,
and Florida is obviously
they have the Jaguars. So, no.
But they've both been there for, it seems like, forever. Even their Division II school coaches have been there forever at Iowa, and yet they're always like 8-4, and they just love them. Build statues for them.
I'm with you on Florida, Will. I don't. That schedule is just insane. He'll be a true sophomore. Lagway. He's nice. One of the best dual threats in the country for sure, and one of the best young arms as well. But that offensive line was terrible. I feel like. I don't know how much better it really got. I don't know how much better that coach is making it either. I think there's a very, very good chance they just drop a couple. They could probably go on and have a pretty good winning schedule, but I think I still see them losing probably 5 of those games. So I think that a pretty good record with that schedule, I meant to say, and I think they lose probably 5 of those games. So I see them probably dropping out as well. You're probably right about Michigan. I don't know if that offense is going to be high powered enough to go win the games that they need to stay up there. Wouldn't be surprised if they drop down, but don't drop out of the top 25, or they make it back into the top 25 at some point. Really, I do think Louisville, Georgia Tech get in pretty quickly within the first 4 to 5 weeks, as well. So I don't know about BYU, man, especially now if that quarterback's gone. That could look bad for them, because he was supposed to be pretty much everything. Wouldn't be surprised if a school like James Madison ended up at top 25 as well, in that like 25 or 24 spot somehow, some way. Just with the way that their schedule goes, they probably have to beat us though to make that happen. I don't see that happening. But yeah, I'm trying to think about one more of these teams up here that I really do think that could drop. Tennessee's schedule is not too bad at all. It's pretty forgiving. Ole Miss's schedule is pretty forgiving as well. And then Indiana's, it sucks that they don't want to play anybody, because they're probably going to they're going to win enough games to where they're not going to have reason to drop, right? They're going to, with that kind of schedule, they're going to probably get up to like 16 at one point. They might lose 1 or 2 of those games, but at the same time, wouldn't be surprised if they run the board for the most part and don't drop like they should. I just don't think they should have been put that high. It's all because of last year, I guess. But like you said, Will. But Still don't think that they beat enough good teams last year to earn that kind of spot. Right?
I think
But
Indiana is one that will drop out eventually. I think they earned at least the 20th spot. I mean, they're still not, like Will said, they're not a bad team, and I think that the coach I do like as well, and they're gonna be competitive. They're gonna be a solid team, but they're that next layer, and they're probably not gonna beat Penn State. They're probably not gonna beat Oregon. I think was the other tough game you mentioned, and they may or may not slip up against one of the other 50-50 games, which they were fortunate enough to win all those games last year, and sometimes in a little more impressive fashion, but they were still 50-50 games. We look at probably the lines in most part for going into most of those games. So I do think they eventually do drop out. I think Arizona State drops out at some point. I think they were a great darling story last year, but Arizona State doesn't put together back-to-back seasons like that unless they got Jake Plummer at quarterback. That's why they're Arizona State. So I think they do drop out. And one team I don't see on here, but because I like James Madison too, and they scared me in our game on our schedule because they brought back a lot of that talent they had last year. They went 8-4. It was very young. They run that kind of option attack team with a running quarterback and Lonzo Bennett or Barrett, I think his name is. But a team I don't even see them on here. I don't know who they have on the roster. I don't know what their schedule looks like. But when it comes to college football, and if I like a coach, I'm gonna pick a team, and I'm going Florida Atlantic and Zach Kitty down there, getting the head coaching job down there now in Florida Atlantic. He took the job down there this year. He was the offensive coordinator the last 2 years at Texas Tech. Before that, you probably remember him being the offensive coordinator at Western Kentucky with Zappy, putting up all those numbers. Before that, he was at Incarnate Word, Houston Baptist, where he coached Zappy in Division II. The young Texas kid, he went to Florida Atlantic. I know that's a son, if I'm not mistaken, or competitor say, because it doesn't matter. They're 6 1/2 dozen. Doesn't have, the kid, the guy with the slippery fingers because he ate too much popcorn in the Longest Yard remake, playing quarterback. Then that team can be competitive and will be fun to watch. So keep an eye on the Owls down there in Baton Rouge. Or no, it's not Baton Rouge. It's what is it? Where's Florida Atlantic again? Will tell me, remind me.
Boca Raton.
Boca Raton. Yes.
Boca Raton.
That's where the Seinfelds couldn't find any the Costanzas. There wasn't any hotel rooms available, or wasn't any rooms available, condos available down in Boca Raton.
Will, Trevor, I want to ask you guys something. I want to ask you guys an ACC question real fast here. Miami.
Can I do my 3 teams to go in real quick?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say Georgia Tech, Utah, and Iowa.
Iowa, really? You trust
Iowa
that new
lost
QB,
a lot.
Huh?
Well, they did, but Kirk Ferentz is still one of the best defensive coaches in football, and they fired his son at coordinator. They have a new offensive coordinator. They have a new system and quarterback. They did lose Caleb Johnson as a running back, who was a demon, but they don't have like a murderer's row schedule in the Big Ten. They do play Penn State, but at home. They play Oregon at home.
Didn't they lose a couple offensive linemen too off that team last year, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah,
their offensive line was loaded last year, and they had like 3 good tight ends.
They stack them up though. But I think Iowa's probably going to get 8 or 9 wins this year, which would probably be good enough to get them in the top 25 with that schedule. So.
I haven't looked at the schedules, but if their schedule matches up, Iowa I know is probably talented enough to probably do that. So then again, like I just said, it's Kirk Ferentz and Matt Campbell. They're going to win 7-8 games every year, regardless.
I've seen the clips of their QB. He's got an arm on him.
They're going to be better. It just depends, but yeah.
But they lost a lot on defense too. I think they lost both their starting safeties.
They do. They lose a lot on the offensive line. They lose a lot on defense pretty consistently. But Kirk Ferentz does a great job of recruiting that. And that's kind of how they are. It's just boring but effective. And now if they can have an actually decent offense, then they can be really good. Hell, they've competed for national championships under Kirk Ferentz's bad offenses. So imagine if they get a good one. They could be.
I can be a hypocrite for a lot of things, Will, but for this, I will not be one when it comes to trusting in a coach, no matter what the talent is. But they lost. I just said the same thing about Zach Kitty, an up-and-coming coach I love. I've talked about it over here, and I'll say it again all through the season. I'm staying true. And Braun, I trust. You love Kirk Ferentz? More power to you, buddy. It was a good thing firing his coach. And you know what? Props to him, too, for firing his kid. Adam Sandler would have never done that.
Yeah. Good one. That was a good one.
Thank you.
Roman,
I
you
got a
said you had an
question.
ACC question.
So our first big team that we play obviously is Miami, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm still worried about James Madison a little bit, but okay.
I'm worried about every game if that defense doesn't look good in game one. But with that being said, with what if we had to go and predict, I think we would all have. I don't think any of us would have a loss before the Miami game. And right, unless you guys object right now, unless you disagree. Now this is
Yeah,
who Miami sees.
I can be negative Nancy going into a season a lot more than as I get caught up into the moment of the year. And that said, I agree with you for the most part, but a road game at Pittsburgh always makes me sweat a little bit under the breast. And James Madison, I've told you, I think we should win, but I'm worried about it still.
So what's your Louisville predicted record before the Miami game? Eastern Kentucky, James Madison, Bowling Green, Pitt, Virginia. Those 5 games.
I think there's a very good chance Louisville might have a loss at Pittsburgh.
Trevor, do you think that's our stinker game this season? Like a game that we should win?
I mean,
but don't?
I could see us maybe blowing out James Madison and blowing out Bowling Green, and then just having that kind of drop the ball game at Pitt. We've done it before. I mean, weather depending on how. I mean, for all we know, it could be a rainstorm again. It was a nasty game. We lost to them that last one. Now, to be fair, a little bit of the blame of that loss is on me. I had to go to a family event, and anytime I'm involved, I go to a family event, we end up losing. So if I do have a cousin getting married again, if it happens to end on if I check in, it's September 27th, I will not
Just send a present. That's all you got.
go because I'll just go to the next one. But the Miami game should be a real test at Miami, but the negative Nancy guy in me, the what's it, the Randy Quaid from Major League 2 version in me. He's kind of like, I don't know.
So you say 4-1 going into Miami?
At worst, yeah.
Trevor? I mean, Will? What do you say?
I'm worried just like Trevor is. I would say like my predicted record for U of L directly hinges on that Pitt game. So the optimist in me says 5-0, yes. The pessimist says 4-1, but also I'm gonna say 5-0 for 2 reasons. One, Jeff Brom doesn't want us to go back to Pitt and have the same performance that we did last time. And Jawar got hurt in that game. And Jack Plummer was absolute dog shit. So basically everything that could go wrong did go wrong for us to lose that game. Kind of similar to Stanford. He's not going to let that happen again. And also, we absolutely demolished Pitt last year, even when Eli Holstein, their quarterback, was playing before he got hurt again. So it gives me some confidence that we should win that game. But it's like, you don't overlook that. That could end up being another ugly one for us. So I will say 5-0, though, just for the sake of your question. But I'm scared.
Now, on Miami's side, they have Notre Dame coming to Miami to open their season. They go BCU, South Florida, and then Florida in Miami, and then they go to Florida State before they see us. So really I'm asking more so out of the Notre Dame-Miami game, Florida-Miami, and then Miami-Florida State, do they go into this game at 5-0?
Yes.
You don't think they beat Florida or my
hot take? I say
they beat Notre Dame and Florida.
Yep. The only reason
Trevor,
why oh, sorry. Go ahead, Trevor.
No, I just I'm going to say no. I'm going to say they're not undefeated. I don't. If you ask me which game they lose, I think it will be one at least between probably Florida and Notre Dame. I just don't think they're a consistent enough team, and I don't have enough trust in Marco Cristobal to think that they're going to win both those games. And then I think the Florida State game is definitely a question because that's the battle of like two teams looking like the two old people from the 80s who once had their prime trying to still race down the 40-yard dash. And that's what these programs are right now. Both coaches should probably have been fired 2 years ago. They're still there, and I'm glad they're there because as a Louisville fan, we play them. But I think that game's up in the air. I think there's a good chance they have 2 losses, but a guaranteed 1. Maybe 3.
Now, my question to you guys is, do you think this benefits Miami seeing 3 opponents like that before they see us, or do you think they could be beaten up on a little bit by this point?
Big time beaten up on. And we come off a bye week. I know they have a bye week before us as well, but we played them off a bye. And that game's going to be Virginia. So,
Trevor, you think that they look beaten up? You think? I mean, no, I don't think. I don't think if you mean I think we can go in there and just blow them out and beat the shit out of them. I mean, I think we can, but I don't think we need to go in there and take our foot off the brake or off the gas anyway. I think we can't take them for granted. I think they'll be good. I think they'll come in wanting to play even if they have 3 losses. They're not. I don't think they're going to just roll over and die. I don't think they're at that point yet. I think they'll battle at least.
It's not that they're going to roll over and die. It's just that those first 5 weeks, they're going through a war of attrition, honestly, because they do play Notre Dame at home, but like Roman said, they also play Florida at home, who's going to be much improved. They have to play at Florida State. Even if Florida State's not that great, that's going to be a battle. And yeah, you get a bye, but I don't know.
If you lose bad to Notre Dame in game 1, though, that can really mess things up in those next few games. It can really mess with your head, I feel like, to start your season like that. Yeah. With a team that has such high expectations. Granted, that's not technically an ACC loss. So if it does happen, it doesn't ruin anything. But
now, personally, I hope they're undefeated because I think Louisville can beat them. I think Louisville should beat them.
Yeah,
but,
me too.
But
Carson Beck's no Cam Ward. I don't think that offense is going to be able to put points up on the board.
They did last year. Carson Beck got suck, but
he's just turnover prone.
He's injury prone too. Who's the backup? The backup will play snaps this year. I feel like the dude can't stay off the IR. But at the same time, with that being said, though, I'm not wishing that upon him. I just feel like he's a big risk on both ends, and that's also not to say he's going to get the most. You're not going to get the most consistent play out of him every time either. At least in big game scenarios, I feel like he's turnover prone in big games, and then also big play prone as well. So you can sometimes live with that. But I'm really interested to see how these two teams look going into Miami. I feel like for us, because of what you guys have both said, there is that chance, there is that risk that we don't look how we want to. We don't. We might drop one of those games between. I mean, like you said, James Madison's offense is no joke. There is that chance that we don't go into that game undefeated. But I just wonder what the two teams look like, because I think that both of these, Miami and our season, that game will kind of be an indicator of what it'll look like going forward. I feel like that'll be a big for both teams.
Let me ask you this, and I'll start with you, Roman and Will. If there's looking at the schedule, if there was one game I told you that you could just flip the switch and we will beat the shit out of that team, not named Kentucky. There's one game on the schedule you could pick, not Kentucky, that all you got to do is say the word, and we're going to beat the shit out of them and have a blowout game. For whatever your reason be, tell me that reason, though. Who do you pick and why?
You go first, Will, if you have it.
Okay. If you want, I can go first.
Yeah, if you have it, Trevor, go ahead.
I'll tell you what, because obviously I had one in mind when I asked the question to you guys. I'll start with that. To me, I think Clemson can be an easy answer. Miami could be one too, because I think I love the rivalry that can be formed there, especially with now the Schnellenberger Trophy thing. It's a boot. But I don't know, personally, I just want to go down to Dallas and just whip the shit out of SMU. Like, I felt like we shouldn't have lost to them last year. And I don't have anything against SMU. I love the Pony Express documentary. But I don't know, for some reason I just want to whip the shit out of them. I mean, obviously, I don't know. I want revenge on them, and that's kind of like, if you're like, I'd like to think we can still beat Clemson in these other games, but you're guaranteed you're going to beat them like 45-7. I want to go down to Dallas and do that.
There's a good chance that
It was a
SMU.
Dallas thing too. As an Eagles fan.
There's a good chance SMU comes into that game 8-2. And I think there's a good chance that our records look really, really close. And I don't want to lose to them 2 years in a row. I think with the way that their schedule looks, there's a chance that they could be with where they're at. I don't see them dropping out of the top 25, and if they do, not staying right there near and getting back up to it. The TCU game, I think, is kind of a toss up there. I think if they win that TCU game, and if they can somehow beat Miami or Florida, I mean Miami or SMU, or if they can somehow beat Miami or Clemson, then that I think everybody would agree with that answer right there, Trev. But that I'm the same way. That's if we could come down there, 40-point victory against SMU, and just put that on our win sheet right now, like you can go and do preseason on the college football game if you want. What do they call that? What do they call it? I've seen people do it.
A force win.
A force win, yeah.
Force win. I've done many force wins, and you know what? All that aside, Roman, all the ranking thing aside, I'm not even thinking about that. I'm just still pissed we lost to them last year at home, though, and kind of the way we lost to them, it still just irks me a little bit, man. You know, I feel like I still have a grudge against Southern Miss and Todd Pinkston for the fake punt pass that they got on us on 4th down back in Cardinal Stadium. All right, I hold grudges sometimes. Will, what do you got for me?
So I'm basing this off the assumption that we're 5-0. I'm gonna say Miami, and the reason why, or I guess reasons why, real quick, are that's the first game of the season that all eyes are going to be on us. It's a Friday night game against a marquee opponent on the road. Miami, even if they aren't undefeated coming in, they're still going to be ranked. So that's a huge match for us. And if we end up winning that game and we're 6-0, coming off the heels of that, the momentum for us is insane because we'll have an extra day off to prepare for BC. We'll curb stomp them at home. And then you got to worry about Virginia Tech. But like from then on, if you have that momentum and that confidence that, hey, we can beat anybody, we can kick anybody's ass on our schedule, that sets us up for the collision against Clemson. I would rather it be earlier on than later on because, you know, you want to set yourself up to peak at the right time. You don't want to be 6-4 and then peak against a good team at that point because it doesn't matter.
In that scenario, if you beat Virginia Tech too, you're going into Clemson
8-0.
8-0, but what?
No,
9-0
actually.
in the country, top 15 in the country at that point.
No, you'll be top 10 if you're
at
undefeated at 9-0. You're top 10.
If we're 9-0, if we're 9-0 with the schedule we have, I would say not top 5 but top 10.
Yeah, he guaranteed top 10, I would say.
And that sets you up for the game of this century for U of L football. I mean, I know that sounds a little bit hyperbolic, but considering the circumstances and the timing, that would be the biggest home game in our history against Clemson. So,
what I mean, assuming Clemson is also what? Like,
yeah, I mean they'll be there, even if they're not undefeated either. That's still going to be massive for our playoff picture, and that would be another egg in our basket. So, I would think if we get to that point, hypothetically speaking, that's bigger than any of the Florida State games we've had at home.
I mean, I would say that's on your West Virginia blackout game level. Then I would assume.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the biggest game in our home history. Besides that, and next would probably be Florida State and Lamar's Heisman year, but that turned out to not be the biggest game just because we didn't finish the season. So
the anticipation of that game, though.
Yeah, this is the difference because it's going to be the end of the season rather than the very beginning. So
I thought you were going to say beating Florida State when they had Bolden and stuff. Then when they were going, I thought that's what you were going to say, not Lamar Jackson. Actually,
no, that would have been the biggest because I mean. We've had several games with Florida State, like absolutely massive home games for us. I guess in terms of rankings, they were the biggest games, but I'm talking about rankings and just what it means for our season and our program. If we come into playing Clemson 9-0, that is the biggest game in our history. I don't care about postseason. Like, yes, if we won New Year's Six Bowls or BCS Bowls, whatever they were called at the time, yes, that's right. But if we really want to take the next step, if we see U of L as a program that can take a leap like Clemson has, for example, into the upper echelon of the sport, that's your opportunity to get the ball rolling there. So,
short of Clemson's 81 national title year, their history is
I mean, yeah, but still, it's Yeah, they're a good program. Before they won their national titles, they were a good program. But,
well, they won the one in '81, but after that, they were still like a 7-8. They were a 7-8 win team on average, even with Bowden.
Exactly. They were fine.
And they were a steady team, yeah.
And then Dabo, it took a little time for him to really get it rolling, but once he did, I mean, he elevated them back to, now to being arguably a blue blood. I wouldn't say they are, but hell, he's turned them into.
They're kind of like on the run Miami had in the '80s, a little bit, early '90s.
Yeah,
without all the rape and prostitution and cocaine.
Trevor, what do you think of this?
Well, Trevor's going to talk in third person apparently on this answer. Trevor doesn't have to pay for ESPN streaming because Trevor gets it, I think already with his cable provider. Yet, if I didn't, I think it's just another example of how I'm shocked that TKO, which now owns WWE, is somehow ignorantly more greedy than Vince McMahon ever was. And that's amazing. I never thought that would be topped, but they apparently are. They're going to drive away. I mean, right now, if you want to be a WWE fan, you're talking about spending like $70 a month. You got to spend $30 for that, what he just mentioned, for your pay-per-views. You got to buy Netflix, and you got to get Peacock if you want to watch SmackDown. You really want to watch NXT, you got to get cable. It's just, then you get SmackDown with it, so maybe save $5. But yeah, it's ridiculous. It's and for the funny thing is that outside of maybe one pay-per-view, and that's only half of the WrestleMania. Usually Saturday sucks. They did this last couple of years, and it's usually the first day of SummerSlam sucks, which I went to 2 nights because, again, greed. It's just, it's pointless. It's not half the only one pay-per-view maybe out of the whole year's worth $30.
Yeah,
you're asking a fan base who's just been literally spending, and I don't mean figuratively, I mean literally spending $10 a month to get all your pay-per-views since 2013. So for 12 years, you've been telling this fan base, here's our $10 pay-per-views, and now you're going to say no, you got to spend $30. I mean, seriously. I mean, what do you expect? I mean, people are going to. The only good thing for them is a lot of people already have ESPN anyway. More bad thing is ESPN streaming site is the absolutely fucking worst thing ever invented by God himself. One of the most older streaming sites out there, they are still absolutely the worst run. It is god awful. When Louisville has games on there, I die just a little bit, and it irritates me to death. I hate their streaming site with a passion.
So Roman, I have a quick question for you.
What's up?
You don't think this year we're gonna have a stinker game, do you?
Well, here's the one thing I think about the stinker situation. I think it's unacceptable for a coach of this kind of know-how with these kind of rosters these last 2 years to have those kind of stinkers against those teams. I think I get that's why it's a stinker, right? You're losing a game that you're the favorite in against a team that you shouldn't be losing to, at a time in the season when you shouldn't be losing to them. But that's what it is. If you think about this, when did the Pitt stinker come, Will? After which game?
After Notre Dame.
When did the Stanford stinker come, Will?
After the Clemson game.
Is there a game like outside of Boston College after Miami?
Yeah, it's Boston College and then Virginia Tech on the road.
Contact, yeah.
So here's the one scenario where I wouldn't be surprised before the Boston if it was Boston College, based on what the hypothetical, we're 5-0, we go in and we beat Miami down in Miami on that Friday, and then we come back off of a big win down in Miami, right? But that's not even technically it's a big win because of where we think they'll be ranked, what that'll do for us in the ACC this year now with the new setup of the college football playoff. But Jeff Brom's already beat him. That's not like a kind of significance in grand scheme of Louisville football and history making. Not to say that that's like why it's not a massive game, but it's still a big game. But it's not like grand scale. Oh, we have the opportunity to go do something we've never done, kind of a thing. And I'm not to say like that's like with the transfer portal that almost negates that if it was real. If I did believe that, because you're getting so many new guys, anyways. I think that there's not a real opportunity for that kind of a stinker unless it's Boston College in my eyes. Like if it's huge game, massive game and what it means for us, and then the very next game against an opponent we shouldn't be losing to, we lose. I don't think now that we've done it twice, it's coming in our 7th game of the season being 6-0 after Miami, right? I think if you guys are right, like if we lose to Pittsburgh, if we go into the or if we go into the Miami game with a loss and lose to Miami, are we even set up to even have a stinker, right? Losing to Cal on your home field is a stinker no matter how your season looks. Losing to Kentucky with what we think they're going to be this year and what we did to them last year would be a stinker no matter how that looks. I just think that there's an opportunity for our record to not even allow for it to feel like a stinker unless it's Boston College or Cal. I feel like those are the only 2 games that could be looked at as like there's no possible reason to really lose these 2 games. If we went and lost a close shootout in Virginia Tech, being what 6-1, 7-1, are people going to be mad? No, they're going to be disappointed. Yeah, but you can't be. It's not like it would be shocking. Virginia Tech's got one of the best home crowds. I'd be angry. I'd be angry. Well, they don't suck. They're not. I don't think they're gonna. I don't think it's gonna be a team that sucks this year. I think they're gonna be middle of the pack in the ACC this year, and that's a home crowd that can be right there with the team. You know, we hear all the things we hear about them, but I just don't think that there's too many opportunities for a stinker. I feel like if you don't lose to Boston, like there's no reason to lose to Boston College, and that falls under stinker territory. I don't see it. I think I feel like we view Miami as equals, right? We just had a chance to beat them last year. If a touchdown doesn't get called back, that game looks very differently at the end potentially for us. And that's with the number 1 overall pick that they had under center. So Carson Beck is not that. He's not going to be that. He's going to be, top 3 or 4 QB in the conference, but he's not going to be a Cam Ward. We know what Mario Cristobal looks like. His teams can typically start to fizz out right at that time of the season, right? They look good in the very beginning, and then things kind of start to go haywire because of the kind of personnel that they typically bring in and not being able to really get everybody on the same page, and that's kind of been his issue. So I just don't view Miami as the heightened type of game that makes Boston College even an opportunity for a stinker, which makes it Cal. Cal's the only thing that I think that's like, all right, you're battle tested at this point. You've seen 3 good teams, or at least 3 good offenses. There's no reason to be losing to Cal. I mean, on your home field especially. But I still just feel like, what we just did to Clemson, we're all confident that we can beat Clemson. SMU, if it was a blowout, that would feel like a stinker, but that's not the kind of team you would be surprised to lose to, especially out on their home field. So I just think that there's not many opportunities. Sorry to ramble and say the same thing over and over 3 different times there, but do you guys get what I mean when I feel like there's just only 2 moments on the schedule that can even allow for it?
Yeah, because I'll say this, kind of to sum it up a little bit in a nutshell. One, Louisville's not going to drop a home game in a stinker game, and the fact that the good thing is they play like 8 home games. So the defined stinker, I think. Now, if they lose to anybody on this home schedule other than Clemson, as long as they're staying healthy and Moss looks okay, it would be a stinker. And I like James Madison, but you shouldn't lose to him. I think they can that would be a stinker. Any loss to anybody but Clemson would be a stinker at home. But I don't think it's going to happen because majority of these stinker games we keep mentioning, one thing they have in common are they're on the road. Now, that said, unfortunately, they do play 4 road games. They won't let us play all at home. They won't even let me do that on the college football video game either. I tried it once. But we do have to play 4 road games. And, I mean, the only one that's really a stinker, I mean, Va Tech, I agree with Roman. They're a middle of the pack. They're a 6-win team, maybe 7. They'll go to the Duke Mayo Bowl or something. But they're not a team Louisville should lose to, even on the road. But that's why I think Pittsburgh could be, if it's going to be early on, especially that stinker game. Because I mean, I do like Narduzzi. I like better as a coach. I mean, he's not. His teams are gonna come in prepared, and defensively they have given us trouble. I know. Yes, last year, I'm at Pittsburgh. I'll say that in general. Now, I'm using this base comparison only on one Brom game, and that was a loss. It's hard to compare what Brom's going to do at Pittsburgh in his second chance compared to what Satterfield ever did there, or anybody else. That's not fair. So, but it's I don't know. Any road game always worries me, and going to Pittsburgh for some reason always worries me. I don't know. It's the ghost of Tony Dorsett or fuck. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's growing up watching Mike May talk all the time. But that's the game that still worries me, and like Romy, I think insane. Luckily, I don't know what time that game doesn't have a time, but it's on Saturday, so if we get it's just a noon game or a 4:00 game. It doesn't have to be a primetime game. That's an advantage for us, even if it is a crazy, insane environment.
Yeah,
I disagree slightly. I mean, I will say this though: I'm going to pick us to have a stinker game every season until we buck that.
He proves that he doesn't. Yeah.
But 5 out of 6 times, one thing that does give me a little bit of hope is that 5 out of 6 times, I just did a little research, that Braum won his marquee game, whether it's at Purdue or at Louisville. 5 out of those 6 times, the next game that he ended up losing was on the road. There's only one time it was a home game, and that was against Wisconsin in 2021. It was
that can't be that much of a stinker. Wisconsin's usually solid, yeah.
Right, but it's not necessarily a stinker. It's more so it's a stinker because they don't do shit. They usually score less than 20 points, and they just look lifeless, and they always lose after having a big win. It's like
I'm curious what the line was in that game.
I have no idea, but they lost 30-13 at home, and that was after, and that was actually sandwiched in between beating Iowa on the road and then beating Michigan State, who was top 3 in the country, on the road right after that. And then guess what? They lost the game after that as well. So it's very up and down. Virginia Tech, though, is my answer of the stinker game because, 1, they do suck. 2, it's a stinker. A 6-win team losing to them, I don't care if it's at home or on the road. If you have college football playoff aspirations, that is a stinker. I don't care if you lose by 1 point or you lose by 30. That's a stinker. Point blank, period. I don't care if Virginia Tech has Enter Sandman and one of the greatest home crowds. They have a terrible home crowd for what it's worth. I mean, hell, they lost to Rutgers at home last year. They lost to Clemson at home. Obviously, that's nothing bad there. But they haven't done anything. They went 6-6 the last 2 seasons. They lose to everybody that is good. They lost to Marshall 2 years ago. They lost to Rutgers 22 years ago. What are we talking about? They're a terrible program. The last time we played them, we stuck our foot down their throat and ran for 400 yards. Well, they suck. They're trash. They're not that – well, okay, maybe Rutgers isn't trash. They're not that good, but they're on the level of Virginia Tech. So Virginia Tech coming to play Rutgers and getting their asses handed to them 2 years in a row by a mediocre at best team, when Virginia Tech was getting a ton of sleeper playoff team love last season because they returned their whole roster. They suck. Brent Pry is a terrible coach. He's still the coach of Virginia Tech. As long as he's there, they're not going to win more than 7 games in the season. So –
yeah, I still residual hate from Ito the kicker at Rutgers, okay? Fuck Rutgers.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying just for Virginia Tech, based on our schedule, that is the stinker because I think it's unfathomable, and obviously I say that now, I could eat crow, to lose at home to Virginia, Boston College, or Cal. Based on where we want to be, can't have that happen. And
no, it is unfathomable. It was unfathomable that we lost to Stanford last year. It's ridiculous. There's no excuse to it.
At all. And Roman and I completely agree with you. For all the great things about Jeff Braum, that is inexcusable. And he does acknowledge it. But if it doesn't change, who gives a shit if you acknowledge it? You got to make that adjustment. You got to get your guys ready to go to win every game. He says, we're focusing on
for the record, going undefeated is not easy thing to do.
It's not, but it's I understand that. But it's easy to beat a 6-6 team over a 9-1 team. You know what I mean? It's just, of course, it's hard to go undefeated, but it's hard to beat Clemson, kick their ass on the road, and then lose to a 2-3-9 team the weekend.
I'm not high enough to compare the ACC to the SEC. Give me an hour, but I will say to your argument, in the SEC, you could have a team with 4 losses, giving a team that's good enough to maybe give a team that's like a Texas who may be undefeated at the time a game in a conference that deep and that has that kind of schedule where you could have a team just have every little break not go their way, but still have a really good team and then pull off a win like that. ACC doesn't have that depth, I understand, but my point is that sometimes the gap, and especially nowadays, between a team that may be losing four games and a team that has 0 losses or 1 loss, may not be as big as it was 5 years ago.
It's not the fact that we're losing that game. It is directly how we are losing that game. We look sloppy, unprepared, look like we'd rather be doing anything else but playing football at the time. Jeff
The
Brom,
opposite as the week before. It's like they
Exactly.
were
Nah,
like
and it pans to Jeff Brom on the sideline, looking around, jaw hanging down, like, button the fuck up and coach your guys to play.
So in 2 years, though, now are we just by your standards in the 2 years at Louisville, for example? Because I don't understand mentioning Western stinkers there, go Hilltoppers, but the 2 years at Louisville. So the only stinker would be the Stanford game because on record you have agreed Jake Plummer was garbage. You lose Gerard Jordan. It was at Pittsburgh. It was a sloppy game on top of.
I don't care.
But that Louisville team wasn't that much. I mean, the difference in talent was not that huge with that Pittsburgh team.
No, it was. Pittsburgh was absolute trash. Christian Veilleux was the worst player, really, not even quarterback player.
What did they do that year? What did they end up doing that year? Do you remember?
They went 3-9. And Christian Veilleux, he had the game of the century for his
that part blew up about
after our defense had just looked magnificent the week before.
We had a top 25 defense that year. We let for Veilleux in the pouring down rain throw for 250 on us when he couldn't crack 100 on the little sisters poor. I don't care if Jack Plummer sucks. I'm sorry, I'm ranting. It pisses me off so much. Like, I can't stand those guys.
I mean, the Stanford one I get, and the Pittsburgh one I do have anger.
No,
the Stanford one I feel like it's still worse because Stanford sucked last year, and there was no reason to even go.
I think
that Pitt team was worse than Stanford's team last year.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, I'm done ranting.
I think we were better. So it's even more unacceptable. But
exactly.
Yeah, fellas. I think the stinker, like we all can agree, it's inexcusable, and you're not going to be a college football playoff team until you go and beat every single team on the schedule that you're supposed to beat. That's the basic requirement. Winning all of your home games kind of has to be as well too. So you can't have games that look like Miami and SMU did last year, right? You've got to. The defense.
I mean, they're doing this year, short of maybe Clemson, that we won't be. There will be a game this year at home other than Clemson that we won't be at least a 4-point or more favorite. I mean, that's a given. I mean, and Clemson
touchdown plus.
You guys think we'll be big favorites?
Honestly, you're probably right about that. I was thinking I was trying to be generous with that, but you're probably right. 7.5 plus, probably in every game except for Clemson. And depending on how Clemson looks going into that game and how the season unfolds, it could easily be in that game too. But I don't think we'll be an underdog no matter what.
The closest line might be James Madison or Virginia, and I don't see that being within 7.
James Madison, just because it's so early in the season, but
exactly.
All right, fellas, we've surpassed this hour.
Blow them out too.
We do have a couple of other things we did want to get into, but we can save those. I'm sure other lists and things will come out here in the next week. I'm also about to die here. I don't have the charger on me.
On top of that, real quick, I will say, and Will can disagree with me, the only games we might be underdogs in will be at Miami and at SMU. I think we can still be a favorite. Not both those games. Those are the only games we'll probably be.
Yeah, depending on how SMU and our schedules go, I think that there's a chance we can.
Yeah, obviously.
Fellas, I think I'm lagging out here because of the battery. I'm gonna get out of here, fellas. Thank you all so much for joining. I have to go here. I'm lagging out, but I don't want to let you guys make you guys stop if you don't want to here. But
I go all night long, baby.
Later on.
I'm your 60-minute man.
All right, this is going to wrap up the Real Spill live show here. Thank you all so much for joining in, listening in, to our commenters, to our retweeters. I appreciate
Mr. Rick Pitino over here.
People watching after the fact. We do need to get into that too. I'm sorry we couldn't get into that tonight, but we will here soon. Fellas, Trevor, Will, this has been another episode of the Real Spill live show.
Go Jays.
Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll be back next week.